Tiger Woods has somehow found himself at the center of the LIV Golf controversy, as a new lawsuit accuses him of tarnishing the brand's reputation on the tour's command. But he's never been the type to back down from a challenge, which is why he's now decided to spearhead the PGA's rallying call. What does he hope to achieve, though, and can the Saudi League counter his resistance efforts? Well, keep watching to find out. First up, Woods to discuss the tour's strategy ahead of a playoff event. Over the past couple of decades, Tiger Woods hasn't been the type of golfer to get involved with drama, especially if it's related to the sport. Like, of course, he's had plenty of controversy off the course, but that's something else entirely. You see, he's just a man of few words and prefers to do his talking with the golf club. That said, we are still seeing him gradually shift into a more senior role at the top of the tour's ranks. We mean, he's obviously not managing stuff for Jay Monahan or anything. It's just that he's accepted the role of a mentor and a role model for a lot of younger players coming into the fray, which means that he also has a lot more responsibility now. So while carrying the baton for the PGA isn't easy, he's more than ready to do it, as he's already gotten himself deeply entrenched within the whole LIV Golf saga. And now he's actually looking to rally some support from the association's members as they figure out a plan for how to tackle this impending threat. As a result, Woods has apparently scheduled a meeting with some of the more influential golfers on the tour ahead of the upcoming BMW match. But why did Woods call such a high-profile meeting all of a sudden? We knew that there was something brewing in the PGA Tour's camp, especially after that antitrust lawsuit from the LIV golfers, but honestly, no one was expecting Woods to be involved so much. Like, of course, everyone knew there'd be a player advisory council meeting and maybe Jay Monahan would have something to say as well. The top members being involved in such a capacity, on the other hand, is a very big deal. In fact, it's kind of like one of those emergency scenarios when the president calls a big meeting. Yeah, something's definitely about to go down. That said, one of the top 20 players invited to the meeting part did kind of reveal the agenda, and according to him, it's about discussing how they can make the PGA Tour the best product in professional golf. Now, obviously, that sounds like a bit of a cop-out, and there's probably a lot of deeper stuff that they're going to talk about. We've got some loose rumors to go by, though. Apparently, the lawsuit has kind of shaken a lot of the association's top brass, and they think they've played second fiddle to the Saudi League for far too long. So the time has come for everyone, including Woods, to stand up to Greg Norman's hijinks and publicly reject their methods of muscling into the game by splashing cash around. After all, it's an incredibly competitive space, and you've got to fight fire with fire. Up next, PGA Tour stars weigh in on Tiger Woods' new role. We've already talked in detail about how this isn't something that the 15-time major winner has done in his career. But of course, when you're respected and loved among the entirety of the golfing community, you could literally walk into any meeting room and they'd hand you the mantle. So it wasn't a surprise to see Woods getting all the attention when he decided to take matters into his own hands. It's not just him who's feeling enthusiastic about the whole deal, though. Apparently, some of the other PGA Tour members who are set to take part in the meeting are also feeling pretty jolly. For instance, when asked about his opinion on the meeting, world number 4, Patrick Cantlay, cracked a joke and said that he's heard that Tiger is the new commissioner in town. He then went on to admit that he was going to the meeting and that he was intrigued to hear what everyone's got to say. John Ram, on the other hand, added that news can be wrong sometimes and asked the media to not give too much importance to it. Having said that, it's hard to not feel curious when you've got Jay Monahan, Ricky Fowler, and the top 20 PGA Tour members coming together for a conference that's being spearheaded by Tiger Woods. Like, you gotta admit that so many high-profile stars don't just get together for no reason. With that said, this isn't Woods' first contact with LIV Golf. You'd be forgiven for thinking that Tiger Woods' speech earlier this month was the first time that he's had anything to do with the Saudi League. But the fact of the matter is that he's actually been involved with the organization for way longer than most people realize. Like, we're talking about the time when Greg Norman wasn't even spearheading their recruitment process. But wait, what was LIV Golf even doing with the 46-year-old back in 2020? Well, apparently, he was one of the first players to be approached by their management. And to be fair, it makes perfect sense, because the 46-year-old's still the biggest name in the sport, so having him on your roster would instantly give you that initial boost. Oh, and he wasn't just offered Mickelson money. We mean, $200 million for someone like him would have been a bit low anyway. Instead, they offered him a contract that was worth almost $1 billion, which would have effectively doubled his net worth. Having said that, he was always bound to reject that offer, since he probably doesn't care about the money at this point in his career. Besides, the Upstart League didn't even have any other big names attached to it when they approached him, so it probably wasn't an attractive project in and of itself anyway. So why does Tiger Woods hate LIV Golf so much? With the amount of work that the 15-time major champion is putting into the fight against Greg Norman's league, you'd think that they've swindled him or something. But in reality, it just comes down to the fact that Woods is one of the senior players around now and has a responsibility to educate the youngsters and keep things in check. Of course, that involves the golfing side of things too, which apparently is one of the main reasons behind his dislike for LIV. For instance, he thinks that the league's setup is inherently antithetical to the way that players develop in their careers. Like any major golf event's as much about endurance as it is about performance. So reducing the total number of holes from your usual 72 to 54 is only going to reduce the quality of the game. And to be fair, the proof is in the pudding, as Saudi League stars don't tend to perform as well as their PGA counterparts. On top of that, there's the whole thing about dumping your legacy and turning your back on the tour just to earn some extra bucks. We mean, it makes sense for someone like Mickelson, who's already entered the twilight of his career, but youngsters joining Greg Norman's ranks is just something that the 46-year-old can't wrap his head around. In fact, he thinks it's a shame that all these promising golfers will never get to experience the true glory and occasion of competing in a major event. And finally, how will Norman respond to all this movement from the PGA? Okay, let's face it, things are definitely getting intense in this battle for golfing supremacy, and we're probably about to enter the endgame with this whole lawsuit business. Now, a lot of stuff hangs in the balance and will be revealed once we reach the conclusion of this case. That said, we don't expect Greg Norman to just sit back and accept the decision against him. As a matter of fact, if LIV Golf does end up getting banned from major events permanently, then there's going to be some serious pushback from the Australian, as he'll start pouring even more money into his project to come up with new major events. Besides, there's a reason why the tour's in emergency mode right now. Like, they know that the Saudi league's got the upper hand on them in terms of media attention, and they need to put an end to this mass player exodus. Perhaps Tiger Woods is going to shed some golfing wisdom on some of these top players and convince them not to destroy their legacy for a big paycheck. After all, if there's anyone who can lead by example, it's him. At the same time, though, Norman's already signed some of their best players and is also on track to nab another, Cameron Smith. Plus, with so much back and forth between the two entities right now, it's anyone's game. So, as mere spectators, all we can do is grab some popcorn and enjoy the show. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think that this big meeting's going to render any positive results for the PGA Tour? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.